Oh, hey there. You caught me at my workbench, which needs to be picked up, enjoying a brew and a stogie at the end of the day. Well, obviously, you didn't catch me. This is staged, but I did want to take the opportunity to let you know that in this review, I will be mentioning multiple times going down to the river and providing some cold weather endurance and reliability testing with different ammunition with the Super Black Eagle 3 in 28 gauge. Now, unfortunately, I had some file corruption issues on my external hard drive, and I managed to delete half of the video on accident. It's recoverable, but I've yet to be able to recover it. So, instead of waiting to publish this review until that is available, and the video would be 30 minutes long, I'm going to cut to the chase, and we're just going to give you the review now. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the final quote-unquote review of the SBE 3 in 28 gauge, and give you a little bit of sneak peek of what might be coming when it comes to decking this girl out for special purpose. As always, guys, God bless, keep your powder dry. Enjoy the video.
Welcome back to American Arms Channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Drake. Today, as you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be taking a quote-unquote final look at the Super Black Eagle 3 28 gauge shotgun. Now, this model has about 3 videos on it currently, as far as my experience goes on American Arms Channel, and you will see first impressions and shooting, you will see a mid-season update, and you will see a pattern sampling video with a selection of loads specifically for turkey season. And that was created last year in 2023. This year, we are in the new year. It is January 2024. I have had this shotgun since July of 2022, and it has been a very good shotgun for me overall. It is wearing a lot of scuffs, stings, dents. It has had a good round count through it. We are looking at approximately 1,000. I have not done well in that time to record all rounds across hunting and shooting and what have you, but I will say we are right at the 1,000 round mark. We're probably a little over, but I'm not going to claim something that I can't say is 100% true. So we are going to go over the performance, the durability. We're going to take a look at the internal components, and then we're going to hop on down to the Riverland, and we are going to do a frigid temperature or Arctic temp endurance test where we run a smattering of different loads through it, as well as dunk it in the snow and ice and see how it performs. But without further ado, let's get into the specifics of this gun. This is your base model. This is your black synthetic. It is not the best or Benelli surface treatment. It is a plain Jane black synthetic version with a matte black anodizing on the receiver and action cover and a matte black bluing on the barrel. The choke tubes have a high gloss bluing, but that is what it is. Comes with a carbon fiber rib. This specific example is a 26-inch barreled variant. Modifications I've made to this gun over the course of owning it and using it: the Briley enhanced bolt handle and the Briley enhanced bolt release. The bolt release system had to be fitted to my particular shotgun. You may have to do the same with your Ethos or Super Black Eagle 3. Your mileage may vary. Also, the spring is not the original action spring or recoil spring in the shotgun. I had a leftover spring that was original to my 12 gauge Super Black Eagle 3, and that shotgun I had replaced with a Wolf enhanced power spring. Well, I didn't like the OEM spring, and it was getting very sluggish going back into battery, so I did replace that with the original 12 gauge spring. I cut the coils down by about 1.5 inches, got it so that I could drop it from about 18 to 24 inches above the ground, and the action would cycle and lock open. Had a lot better return to battery. Wolf springs will be your stop for all Super 90 springs when you're looking for better performance, in my opinion. They're affordable, and for less than 20 bucks to your door, you get peace of mind on your action cycling. I don't know why Benelli has dropped the ball so much in springs. I think they run a lower tension because they want the gun to cycle with it about anything you put in it, but the long-term durability of that spring is questionable, at least. So those are the modifications of the gun. Otherwise, no forcing cone work, no polishing of the barrel, nothing done with the chokes. In fact, I've pretty much not shot the gun with anything but the improved cylinder or the modified extended chokes that came with it. It is a synthetic duck gun, and I have treated it like a synthetic duck gun. It is not a safe queen. It has speckles from nicks and dings. There are scrapes and scratches. It's come in and out of the truck. Last season, it pretty much lived under the back seat of my beater truck. It has been grimy. It has been clean. The one thing I will note, it has never failed to cycle. It's been a great gun, and it really does live up to its namesake and design. It is an inertia shotgun. They are going to have limitations compared to gas guns, just like a gas gun may have limitations compared to an inertia gun. But what I have found with my Benellis, and this being my fourth Benelli, is that, if they're going to give you a hiccup, it's going to be with lower power ammunition. It's going to be with something that's a little bit substandard or cheaper. Considering 28 gauge really doesn't come in a lot of cheap variants, well, you're not going to have a problem, I can tell you that. The lightest load that I have ran in it is 3/4 of an ounce at 1,200 feet per second box velocity. That is a Winchester AA. And the hottest loads factory that I've run in it are the Boss 3-inch, 1 1/16 ounce bismuth loads. And those are your traditional loads, not the newer War Chief that debuted in 2023. I have not acquired any of those yet. I may in the future. I am not yet reloading for 28 gauge, so factory options are all I am shooting out of this gun at this time. Patterns have been great. I'm not really going to demonstrate pattern samples to you in this review because, honestly, from what I have learned over the years, there are too many variables to control to give you an indication of what kind of performance you should expect. So do your own pattern sampling, your pattern testing with the loads that you see fit, with the chokes that you see fit to equip it with. Find what works for you and go hunting. There's tons of videos out there on how to pattern. I can tell you that this gun patterns very, very well with many loads, and the modified choke outperforms its labeling, typically throwing improved modified, sometimes full patterns, depending upon the loading. Now, with all that out of the way, one of the bigger questions is the durability and the shootability of this shotgun. Overall, fantastic, and we'll take a closer look at this. Next to that is, what trouble can you expect if you end up with the proverbial lemon? Well, I can tell you that I have not experienced it, but I am aware of several issues. One is endemic to the Super Black Eagle 3 lineup. Whether it's a 12, 20, or 28 gauge model, there are complaints that the guns shoot left, shoot high. I can confirm that there were a lot of models in the 12 gauge in initial runs that had a lot of high patterning issues. My gun was one of them. I don't know how to comment on that for the Super Black Eagle 3 and 28 gauge because I haven't experienced that. In fact, this gun, while regulated to shoot 60-40, shoots just about every load 2 point of aim, about a 50-50 split pattern. So I've really enjoyed the gun. It took a little bit of getting used to get the bird or the target behind the bead as opposed to floating it most of the time. But once I was adjusted for that and looking through the bead, looking down the rib and at the target, and again, not focusing on trying to aim, but swinging and wing shooting, it works. And again, there's videos, demonstrations of that. I'm not going to go into that. But my example doesn't do that. There are examples out there that do, at least according to those owners. Are they not shimming the gun to themselves properly? Are they not getting the right sight picture? I can't comment. I'm not them. I don't have that example to test. It is something to be aware of that you may have to take into account when you're considering purchasing one of these models. even the 28 gauge. So there is that. Two other items that I know are issues with the gun or have been seen. The carbon fiber rib, while it keeps it light and does ensure reliability, it can get nicked, dented, and dinged. It is a little bit more robust than a steel rib in that regard, in that you won't be crushing it in, but you could crack it, you could break it off if it has hard enough strike, whereas a steel rib might just deform a little bit or take a nick. This one is rattly, most are, but you're not really going to notice it, and it doesn't rattle during shooting. You don't hear it, and it's never been a problem during a hunt. Patterns have never fluctuated because of it that I can discern. So there is that. But particularly of note, High Prairie Sportsman did see his rib split and fly off of his example of this shotgun during a teal hunt. And I will roll in footage of that here with his express permission.
Mine's walking. Dude, look at my rib. I don't know where it went. And all it is from shooting. Like, it's not getting banged on anything.
Next is the bolt buffer or guide spring plunger. I had a viewer send me a picture of his that within, I believe it was the first 100 or 200 rounds minimum, or maximum, I should say, had his break in half. Now, Benelli took care of him to the best of my knowledge, but that was a very strange malfunction. One thing about this shotgun is that it does not share the small spring compression unit plunger in the bolt buffer and spring guide that its larger cousin does. I don't know why they did that, perhaps for some sort of reliability, but it is simply a heavy weight. And it doesn't seem to affect recoil, but it doesn't also give you this confidence that there's a super high-end component. It seems pretty simple. It is a cast piece. That's about all I know about it, but there is a malfunction there, or a failure point, that I do know of. So those are the things to take into consideration when you are looking at the Super Black Eagle 3 in 28 gauge. Now, let's get it on the table. Let's take out some of the internal components, take a look at what wear patterns they have or don't have after around 1,000 rounds and 2 seasons of hunting. And then let's get this baby down to the river and put it through some paces. So before I pop her open, let's take a look at the scuffs, dings, dents, and the general durability of hunting hard over the past 2 seasons. While the round count may not be exceptionally high, it has been carried afield quite a bit. So let's start off over here. We can see we've got some speckling from just getting bumped around. We do have some scuffs here. There is a barbed wire drag on the cheek piece on the rear side here. We're doing pretty good on our butt. Our 2017 12 gauge example is actually degrading quite a bit with its foam. But for now, a little over 1.5 years in, 2 full seasons in, this one is doing pretty dang well. A little bit of nicks and dents there in the anodization. Overall looks pretty good. Some scuffing in the plastic, but she takes a ding and keeps on going. Looks like we've got some grass stuck up in there. Carbon fiber vent rib, pretty durable. Edges can get nicked, so do keep that in mind. And again, we have seen at least one example, maybe a couple other people can report if they've had that trouble or not, but of this vent rib splitting and flying off the gun, and Benelli needing to replace that for that owner. Overall, though, looks pretty decent. Not really a problem. The modified choke has been in the gun for a long, long time. We're going to take that guy out real quick and just show you what that wear looks. This thing's come in and out of the gun quite a bit. I've got it greased up so it doesn't seize. It's just looks like a choke. No problems with it. I've shot a number of different loads through it. I've not run steel through the gun, actually. 28 gauge steel shot is not readily available in my area, and I have no reason to purchase it because I shoot bismuth on waterfowl and lead on upland game. So there is that. Let's pop the sucker open and take a look at the internals. All right, let's start off with the heart of the action, the bolt carrier group. There's really not a lot to tell inside. There is no carrier gouging or really excessive wear. You've got a good amount of wear there on the bottom of the cam groove, but that's pretty normal, and it's not removing material. It's just the finish has come off. There is no flaking, cracking, breaking, or anything of the chrome plating on the bolt head. It's doing very, very well. The bolt head return spring, which goes around the firing pin, is very healthy. Really no problems there. The extractor spring is very healthy as well. Extractor is looking very, very good. Just again, some surface wear on that finish, but nothing that's actually degrading it at all. You know, you'll have to replace things like springs, extractors, high wear components at some point, but I would not expect to have to do that on this particular shotgun for quite some time. We can see that we've got some wear on the front of the carrier here. It has slicked up quite a bit. This thing, when oiled, is just incredibly smooth, and even when it's dry, it's very, very smooth. So a very nice shotgun. It's just a miniaturized bolt of the 12 and 20 gauge variants, so you're not looking at anything substantially different. I think that they could do a little bit better fit and finish on the rat tail of the bolt, but it's not something that really needs to be high polished and perfect. I just expect a little bit more out of a $1,600 shotgun. But you can't see it, and it operates perfectly, and it has not failed. So there is that. The trigger pack is very dirty, but has been very good. Again, we've not seen any breaking of the chrome plating on this. It is really reliable. Could I replace the hammer spring with a more powerful one? Yes. I just don't find it necessary. Lock time is very good currently and provides reliable ignition. So until further notice, I don't think there's any reason to do any different. One thing I really like about this trigger pack compared to the original Super Black Eagle I own, the original Super Black Eagle 3 from 2017, that is that the keeper for the cross pin, which actuates your pivot point for, or is your pivot point for your lifter, is your pivot point for your hammer, and holds your bolt stop latch and your cartridge stop latch in place as well, and is also its access pin. It is kept with a actual, I don't know what to term this, but this is more of a crab claw plate, steel plate that you have to have a special plier set to open up. Just like on the Benelli M4, M1014 combat shotgun, this is a hell of a lot better than the spring, the D-clip spring that is on most Benelli designs, and I think they really should be upgrading to this with everything they produce, and perhaps they have. It's just I have had those D springs flop away. While it is in the gun, it can't really shift far enough to cause a problem, but you never know. It could wear down over time and cause an issue that would otherwise be unknown. And there is an example of that D-clip spring right there on a non-critical stop pin, which is your cross pin holder for keeping the trigger pack in the action. So overall, really not a whole lot to talk about. It's holding up just fine. Barrel extension, again, while it is dirty here, no cracking of the chrome plating, no flaking. It just looks fantastic. It has a matte chrome finish. Very, very nice looking. Overall, there is wear on the barrel, and you know, if you're looking to save some money and then once it gets worn down, refinish it, I think the black synthetic version of this shotgun is a great example. I do have some nicks and dings here, of course, but nothing that's going to impact the functionality or safety of the firearm. So let's take a look at the receiver. We really don't have much to note. It's not too worn, and it's been holding up nicely. there's really not a whole lot other than just standard wear and tear from handling, hunting, and shooting. Again, we can see that stock is maybe not looking the greatest since it came out of the box, but it's a plastic stock with rubber and foam components on it. Not a whole lot to write home about. I'm not taking the action spring plunger out of the gun at this time because there's no point, but if you'd like to see that, let me know and perhaps we'll cover that. It's the same as every other Super 90 that you've perhaps ever seen. So really, it's a simple shotgun. We can break down the bolt carrier if we really want to. It is very stiff. You're not going to be losing these components in the field, I can tell you that, if I can even get this apart. Very, very tight. Actually, a little bit of deformation on that O-ring there. Again, return spring for the bolt head that goes around the firing pin is perfectly fine. We're going to shake out that cam pin if we can manage it. Pull it past that detent. Bolt head is looking fantastic. Cam pin looks great. Firing pin is looking perfectly healthy. Nothing wrong with it. And of course, in my experience, firing pins are good until they're not. But you're not seeing any of that chrome plating flaking. Like I said before, nothing bad is happening with that bolt head or that extractor. So we're looking pretty good. Let's pop her back together and head on down to the river.